Okay, hi, and good morning, everyone, here from Finland. We're continuing our work with the science of triangles, and tonight, this evening, we'll be working at 6 p.m. on the actual normal triangles meditation. We're heading into a new section, and we have a lot of gratitude to Starling David Hunter, who, of all the people I know, has been the most focused on clarifying, uh, collecting and clarifying work on triangles. He has a very scholarly book, The Compass of Light. I think it's in 6 volumes, and I think that we need, if you would like to get in touch with him, to access his book. Um, I'm kind of alone here today. I'm not sure I can handle, putting in all of the proper links and so forth. But I will do my best. It's a really scholarly work, and he's collected so much of what DK has scattered throughout um, his writings and has organized those writings in a way that is very useful to us. Right now, I'd just like to welcome you, Anne and Anna, Catherine, Karen, Carrie, Leslie, Lynette, Mariana, Mart. Um, Not sure whether that's Marty or Mart, but anyway, welcome. Martine and Miro and Natni and Nesa, Shriyantra, Vicky and Zenaidi, and Veronica and Vera. Welcome to all of you. And um, the I would just like to take a moment out before we begin, just to visualize the work going on in the Senate of the United States, and to visualize the indigo synthetic ray operating um, in that particular area of government, the legislature, because very important issues are being decided and being revealed. And I would just like us to focus for a moment to just see the solar angel of the United States hovering over those deliberations, and to ask, invoke the idea that good, the good, may emerge from this very challenging and problematic situation. And what I'm going to do here, I'll try to um, just take me a moment here. As I say, I'm on my own with all of my technical abilities. So anyway, we'll go into the book, the externalization, and we'll once again invoke the Lords of Liberation, because we are dealing with the freedom of the human will, and we are dealing with that which the founders of the American experiment foresaw. So Admittedly, this is a little bit out of context, because I hope that in the future we may have uh, people studying these matters more in an academic and meditative way, but the times are what they are. So, with the idea that the higher powers aim to have the good manifest um, through the nations, the souls of the nations manifest, which is still very far from the case. We call upon those great protectors of freedom, of brotherhood, of equality on a monadic level. Let the lords of liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and coming save. Come forth, O mighty one. Let the souls of men awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O mighty one. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O mighty one. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O mighty one, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. Thank you, everybody. And, the next number of days, democracy has always been a great experiment, even in the days of Greece, ancient Greece. We don't know that much about Atlantis. And we know that in those days, slaves were held in Greece, and they certainly were not considered to be part of the democratic system. Now it's been broadened and widened all over the world, and under its influence, the soul of the nations of the world and the soul of humanity can better emerge. And that's what we want, so that the Aquarian age of brotherhood can enter properly, and the wonder of the new age be conferred upon humanity and all the kingdoms. Of course, the triangles that we study have a lot to do with the available energies. And the more we know about them scientifically, the more we will be able to work with them. So now what let's see, maybe something peculiar happened there. Probably you heard my voice anyway. I'm not sure. I don't have my trusty reminders to say, look, there's nothing on the screen. But what Starling has done here is to kind of abbreviate or summarize what you can find on these pages. Largely pages that are found in Esoteric Astrology. And he's listed various triangles and footnotes, in a rather scholarly way. And we'll go through them, some of them anyway, and see what we can gather from them. Now, the very first triangle he offers is one that we have discussed. This is a very subjective triangle. It doesn't mean that there are not people who are born tangibly and using these signs. It's just that in the circle of the zodiac, these signs are associated with the subjectivity of man, and different places where they are listed are given by him. And you notice that the word subjective is frequently occurring. Now, a simple way to memorize that, or a simple way, okay, thanks, Catherine. A simple way to think of this is that Aries rules the plane of mind and the mental body. Taurus rules the desire body, and Gemini, is one of those signs, along with Aquarius, which is particularly associated with the etheric body. Now, what does that leave? Basically, Cancer rules the dense manifestation of mind, emotions, and ether. And that is one of the ways of considering these three initial signs. They kind of go downward into incarnation. So they are beginning signs and they are final signs. And what that means basically is if you are on the ordinary wheel, we can begin to go backwards, as it were. But we normally consider that we, as students of DK, will be on the reversing wheel, and then we go in the counterclockwise manner and consider the signs as they normally are considered. Now, if I try to, let's see how I can do this. If I try to turn to this page, interesting. The particular page given does not seem to correlate. What the page does is it shows the way to begin from Aries and go either forward or backward, but it's a different triangle. I'll show you what I mean. If we are going on the ordinary clockwise wheel, we start always with Aries. The movement into outward into incarnation, the will to manifest, and experience upon the cardinal cross in the early phase. Okay. Now, we have to understand that simply because we have the cardinal cross in our horoscope, it does not mean that we are in consciousness upon that cross. As a matter of fact, until the fourth initiation is passed and the fifth initiation is taken up, we are not on the cardinal cross of consciousness, even though we might have many cardinal signs. So we do move backwards, you see, or at least we consider it backwards or clockwise. He tells us that the first aspect of divinity is latent in Aries, and it is the most powerful, we know, of the first ray signs, but it is not expressing as the divine will yet, because we're still on the clockwise wheel. Now, let form again be sought is the name of the secondary mantram associated with Aries. You know, there are two mantrams. The spiritual mantram, I come forth and from the plane of mind I rule. That's all about some kind of monadic emergence. But this is very early in the day. I come forth in blindness. You know, the thing is, the sheep has weak eyes, a lot of energy, but maybe at first doesn't know where it's going. So we have the will to emerge. Let form again be sought. And then Pisces, the mantram there, the secondary mantram, is go forth into matter. Well, somewhere DK tells us that although humanity en masse takes its first incarnation in Cancer, the first individual incarnation is taken in Pisces, go forth into matter. So what the second aspect is buried here, you know, because we have to understand that in the beginning, we do not have the first, second, and third ray characterizing either the personality or soul of any individual. That comes later. So when we take our first incarnations, long ago, right, we will be, in terms of personality, either on the fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh rays of attribute, and our soul will not be on the first, second, and third ray. It will again be either on the fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh rays. As far as the monad goes, that's a different story, I believe. And the monad can sustain those first, second, and third rays on its own high level, but we have nothing to do with that at first. And on the when the first initiation is taken, it's then that the monad really starts to work within what we call our soul nature. Okay, so Pisces, as we know, has a lot of second ray and sixth ray. Sometimes when in the early days, when you say, hey, but I know I have the second ray or the third or the first, we're talking about the astrological method of getting to that ray. But, pretty much in the beginning, it's the second aspect of divinity, which is latent, and the sixth ray, which is coming in. So what is it all about? Desire for form existence. Well, we're getting ready to be swallowed by the whale. Interestingly enough, later, the whale swallows Jonah, and that it's curious that Pisces is a sign which rules whales of all things. So we're swallowed by all kinds of chaotic energies that are filled with the potential for glamour, and we cannot easily escape the love or desire for material things. Sometimes we're so used to thinking about the positive sides of the signs that we forget that you can be a materialist under any one of the signs. And Pisces demonstrates that quite strongly in some people that emerge as prominent. So it would really be a mistake when you're working with the chart of other people to always interpret from the positive point of view. You've got to understand whether they are moving clockwise on the wheel or more spiritually in a counterclockwise manner. And this is experience upon the mutable or common cross. Really, we have millions of years of experience upon, in terms of the cross of consciousness, upon the mutable or common cross. So we're used to the idea that Aries has a first aspect, in this case latent. Pisces has a second aspect. When we think about the rays that normally come through the triangle. Um, but are we used to the idea that Aquarius has a third aspect? It is one of the prominent signs, prominent rays associated with Aquarius. And of course, its position, if you go counterclockwise, makes that obvious. So think of it. All those good things we say about Aquarius and the age of Aquarius, but look how it can be if the wheel has not been reversed. And there are quite a few people in today's politics who are very selfish, and yet they are Aquarian, and their attention is confined to a certain exclusive area to which they are totally dedicated, but it's not positive in the sense of being inclusive. So here we have Aquarius on the on the non-reversed wheel, the ordinary wheel. Consecration, it's like a word like dedication, right? Consecration to the service of the lower self. Let desire inform, be ruler. And isn't it unusual to think of the Aquarian as selfishness, and experience upon the fixed cross? Of course, you can have experience upon the fixed cross in terms of your birth for a long time while you are still on the mutable cross of consciousness in terms of your overall spiritual status. So maybe we don't so often think about people that are on the clockwise wheel because maybe we don't work with them so much. You know, they're not necessarily interested in astrology in any way that is having to do with their psyche or their soul. It's more, if they come to the astrologer, it's the what's going to happen to me school of thought, you know. But then when finally we begin to reverse the wheel, and I would say that that really begins to happen in the fifth petal, the unfoldment of the fifth petal of the egoic lotus, after we fall out of our tower of egotism and begin to be the kind of humbled individual who said, well, look, I've failed. What have I done incorrectly? And so the possibility of the path of aspiration does begin. Then we have, you know, a completely different orientation. And then we go in the clockwise order. Now, it's a counterclockwise order. It's interesting, you know, we oftentimes say, oh, counterclockwise, that's against the spirit. Oh, clockwise, that is with the spirit. But not in astrology. And, you know, that's a peculiar, that's an oddity in a way. We do oftentimes want to deal with the clockwise swastika rather than the counterclockwise swastika, which was chosen by the Axis powers. But even that counterclockwise swastika is all about involution, and it's part of a natural process. They just chose to give it a very materialistic interpretation, which was hateful rather than cosmic. So let's just suppose we're going in the normal order for the spiritual person. This type of, let's see, what have I got here? What I'm trying to do is, where was I? Something happened here. I think it was page 151. Something happened. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Now let's look at what they say about this triangle on the spiritual wheel. And then you will probably recognize more the way you have usually considered the signs. The interesting thing with esoteric astrology is it allows us to consider them in both ways. And it gives us a much clearer view of how to approach interpretation for someone who may come to us for that purpose. But as I say, it's mostly people with a little bit of a spiritual spark. And they mostly, um, and they will want the clockwise interpretation, or the clockwise interpretation will be appropriate. So here's what we have, Aquarius. Now we're going what we call forward. And the third aspect of divinity is expressed. Now, Aquarius is a sign or a constellation which brings in a lot of fifth ray, but it does also strongly bring in the third aspect. And you may remember that one of the rays associated with Uranus, which is, after all, the main ruler of Aquarius, is the third ray. Not only the seventh ray, and not only the sort of first ray behind Uranus as the monadic ray, but the third aspect. Hence its constant movement and migration, and it has a reputation for judging, for indicating movements from here to there, displacements, um, activities which transfer people uh, across the ocean or into space or into some new environment. Third ray movement and activity. So now we have to consider this triangle in a different way. And actually, this is a good exercise. I realize I'm not exactly doing uh, dealing with the triangle that Starling put here, but it seemed necessary because when I turned to that page, these are the triangles that appeared. So I'm working with them right now. Now here's consecration once again. You know, that idea of dedication. And you know, I've been working in letters on occult meditation, and there's this section toward the end about the demanding method of living the consecrated life. It's a very good section. And by the way, I've just about, I really have, in a way, finished the book. So if you're interested in studying that book, there's 63 programs so far on video. And they can be found on Makara, and they can also be found on YouTube. Now, I also prepared a rather extensive commentary in a written form for the new esoteric schools, and it is a lengthy written commentary. Now I'm also and you can read it, you know, in detail if you wish on Makara. It's 160 pages long, you know, so, but it includes all the text that DK gave on letter number 9, the new esoteric schools. So I'm going to actually make a video out of that, you know, because the conversational style is sometimes useful to people who are going about their daily business and they want to listen in to some thoughts about the Tibetan or the Tibetan's own words. So both will be there, just alerting you to the fact that if you really want a foundation in meditative study, boy, there's just, in my view, there's just no better foundation than what the Tibetan has provided. An amazing foundational and yet not easy book. So if you can master that, you would only really have to read one book, you know, and your life would be a success spiritually considered. Okay, well, that's just a little statement in the middle of all this in case you want to go there and either begin or continue listening to Letters on Occult Meditation video. And you will find that in those approximately 6 months that he worked with Alice Bailey on that book in the very beginning 1920s, he has given us just reams of information that are valuable to anyone who wants to learn how to meditate occultly. Okay, now coming back to the triangle we're looking at here. Um, consecration to the service of the whole. Notice it's no longer selfish, and it's very inclusive because Aquarius, ideally, is the sign of universality and the ability to embrace the whole and all of its many interactive energies is found in the advancing Aquarian, which we hope to be, in general, and especially if we have it prominent in one of our, let's say, rising sign or sun sign, something like that. Some of us have the moon in Aquarius. That's a little bit different because, of course, the prison of the soul is indicated. But when you're talking about proceeding step by step on the counterclockwise wheel, you don't just take the moon. What you do is you look for what is veiled by the moon. And in the case of the person heading towards transfiguration, it can be Uranus, Neptune, or Vulcan. And so it's a totally different thing. You work your way out of the prison using the energies that the moon position represents. So, if an advancing person looks at the moon in Aquarius, they don't only say, oh, it's the prison of the soul. It's much more than that. It brings in the energies you need for triple transfiguration, or that's what transfiguration really is, the glorification of the triple personality. So, consecration to the service of the whole, the death or negation of all personality selfishness. Well, we would go a long way there, and that is why Aquarius, prominent at the second initiation, yes, is especially one of the signs on which you can take the third initiation, because it is there that Mars is defeated by Vulcan. And then, of course, Aquarius also applies to the fourth initiation, and finally to the fifth, in which many people end their spiritual career as a strictly human being, in an incarnation in which Aquarius is very prominent, and selfishness, in the usual sense, has been completely defeated. So the culmination of experience upon the fixed cross. What do we have on that fixed cross, which is so challenging? And I've said many times, blinding light, hard to bear, right? Fiery pain, blinding light, Taurus, fiery pain, Leo, hard to bear. Bitter woe, Scorpio, very hard to bear. And yet the cross of liberation. So that's the culmination of experience. That's Aquarius. And that's the culmination of experience upon the fixed cross. Then the second aspect in Pisces is released. If from the point of view of the cosmic decanates, there are three. There's Scorpio, the first ray decanate, Pisces, the second ray decanate, cosmically considered, and Taurus, the third ray decanate, cosmically considered, hence its very strong connection with Earth and its third ray. So now and of all those three decanates, in terms of our present solar system, Pisces will be the most important with its second ray. It is, in a way, the deepest sign of the Christ and his second ray expression. So now the second aspect of divinity is expressed, maybe taking in fourth ray and sixth ray too, but overall the second aspect is expressed. So what happens here eventually? The emergence of a world savior. Now, it's strenuous enough to become a world server, isn't it? And so many of us, we may be serving for the wrong motive, he goes into this in Esoteric Psychology 2, the chapter there about motives for service and what it is. And, it's really a spontaneous outflow of one's soul energy. And so, but the Pisces takes us a step further and closer to Shambhala, and the fourth initiation is taken under Pisces, or in Pisces, or with Pisces prominent, and the fifth initiation too, with Pisces prominent. It's another step, and it requires even more sacrifice and consecration than the steps forward in Aquarius. So very high things, of the final Pisces energy. Death, there's Pluto for us, death of all separative desire, because we've merged and we've blended with others, and Pisces is a major sign of identification. So as where you used to think of yourself as a separate being, that great heresy of separateness is overcome. And so death of all separative desire and love, even spiritual longing and aspiration, which is usually indicating that you're still somehow identified with your little self. It may be a very high little self, but you are not identified with the whole and as the whole. So it's really a tremendous relinquishment here in Pisces as a world savior, and then culmination of experience upon the Mutable Cross. Now that at this time is very important. There's a lot of steps in there. You can use Pisces to get off the Mutable Cross of consciousness and into the fixed cross. That's a different function of Pisces, but now we're talking about the end. And so, Alpha and Omega, we're reaching the alpha point with Aries to start the new cycle. The first aspect is now expressed, and it's not just latent. As I say, the strongest of the first ray constellations or signs at this time with respect to our solar system and planetary scheme. So what happens then? And, you can recognize here that it's much different. By the way, I've done a lot of this kind of comparative work, petal by petal, in the video book, The Egoic Lotus. So you can find the Egoic Lotus on Makara, and you can find it also on, what's it called? YouTube. Yeah, okay. So now we have the appearance of the will to cooperate with the plan. Now, you'll see that also on page 332 of Esoteric Astrology under the Initiate's Approach to Aries. Appearance of the will, about which we understand very little, so this is a big divine will, of the will to cooperate with the plan. The death of self-will, which kind of lets us know how very self-willed Aries will be when we're on the ordinary wheel. It just is filled with this idea of self-will and doing what the personality wills to do, but not anymore. Not when we finally reach this very, very high point where alpha begins again. And by the way, we sometimes think about the age of Aquarius, what gets us into it. It's Aries that is the initiator of entry into the new Aquarian age. So this sign can be very, very useful in opening the doors to the new possibilities. And finally, of course, it was the beginning of the work upon the cardinal cross, and now it is the culmination of experience upon the cardinal cross. So this is what pages 151 and 152 have given us. And there's a little bit here. Well, let's see, maybe I can read this. He says he's dealt with the three crosses at some length, whilst we were covering these first three signs of the zodiacal wheel, as it revolves from Aries through Pisces to Taurus, so that's the clockwise wheel. And each of the three is found upon one of the crosses, and thus in themselves and their relationship, they constitute a complete unit, I might say a complete triangular unit, because that's what we are studying. Now, going back to, we'll go where the text indicates. What Starling had here, he was talking pretty much about this as being subjective and positive. Now, maybe I can finish a little bit more here. They are connected to initiation, he says. Okay, I'm going to go to 320. Let's see what happens. Because, although it's good to simply epitomize and summarize, sometimes DK says something that really you want to have, So this is page 320. And there it is. Okay. There are three signs preceding Cancer, the mass awareness. Three signs preceding these, which will provide the subtle and subjective realities of the will to be. That's to me, that's the highest form of the will to be. In Aries, the desire to know in Taurus, which is not how we usually in popular astrology consider Taurus. Usually it's somehow associated with instincts and not with tremendous luminosity, and the establishment of relationship in Gemini. And these constitute the triple incentive to the manifestation of man and the human kingdom. This is amazing stuff, you can read through the book and never really, unless you study topically, isolate the importance of such statements. They correspond to, now watch this, to the logoic Aries, I suppose, the monadic Taurus, and spiritual planes, starting with the spiritual hierarchy, I suppose Gemini, to which the higher initiate has access, or when dealing with the entire concept on a lower turn of the spiral and in connection with ordinary man. See how he's given us such a lift here in explaining what this is all about? They correspond to the mental, astral, and etheric vehicles of man, and that we have already emphasized. But imagine we think about different, we think about different signs of the zodiac in relation to different planes. Now we're shown that the usual Aries-Taurus-Gemini, indicating the subjective man, correspond to something much higher, logoic, monadic, and spiritual. So you would put Aries on the logoic plane, Taurus somehow, along with Virgo and Pisces, on the, did I say logoic plane? I hope I said Aries logoic plane. You would put Taurus along with Virgo and Pisces on the monadic plane, and you would begin with some Brahmic placement of Gemini on the atmic plane. And plus the fact that there are indications that they are on the cosmic astral plane as well. Well, all of that is a bit beyond us, but maybe the principle to gather is that the different signs of the zodiac can be assigned to different vehicles and different planes depending upon the level at which we are working. So here is a statement. These three are therefore, they are therefore related to the highest and the lowest expression of human life. I have in the above idea given you several hints of vital importance. Now there's the Tibetan doing his usual double entendre, you know. Why does he say the word vital? Because he's talking about ethers. He could have just said, you know, great importance or, you know, dramatic importance or something like that. But he uses the word vital. And vitality points to the higher ethers and also to the lower ethers as well. So the higher ethers, as you know, are the cosmic ethers, and they are Aries, first plane, Taurus, second plane, or monadic, Gemini, third plane, and finally, Cancer, we're going to have to relate Cancer as a vehicle to the Buddhic plane. They are all ethers in a very important sense. One of the symbols of the initiate of a certain degree is that of the five-pointed star with a triangle in the center. This is a reference to the energy of the watery triangle with which we have just been concerned, and to the fivefold linking which has been established in the consciousness of the initiate. I wonder if this is not, frankly, I wonder if this is not mastership after all. But anyway, here's what we have benefited from. We've taken the well-organized epitomes that have been provided for us over here, and we have gone into the text and seen that there's more to it, and that we should, you know, understand that more. Okay, let's see where I am here. Yeah, I'm right here. So what I want to do is copy this for the future under what Starling has provided. Basically, he has located us in such a way that we can carry on our study in a more organized manner. Okay, now these are also, I'm basically only going through one triangle, as you can see today, but we're trying to do it in a disciplined manner. They're connected to initiation, 387 and 388 of this book. Let's take a look. And 388. Okay. This is Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Well, let's do it. Because the secrets of this triangle are being revealed here. These three signs are closely associated with initiation, and let's see how that works out. 387 and 388, and I will show them to you if I have failed to do that so far. There they are, coming up. All right, so we're going to have yet another you know, the further you go with Master DK's book, he says it's the most occult book he's ever written because it deals entirely with energies. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is trying to make these a bit smaller so they can be understood as elaborations. So that's where we're going. And I want to do one more thing. Yes, I'm going to make this smaller. All right, 1, 2, 3. That'll do it. All right, so just a little bit more today. Let's look at the secrets of this first triangle. And, you know, basically what we're doing is gathering many different perspectives on the same triangle. Now, one day, you and I will, as DK tells us, be able to stand on top of the symbolic mountain and see the passage of the energies and all of the links that are made, and we will be the astounded disciple. Is that what he calls us? Astounded or astonished or something like that. All of that's going on, and unless we have at least the initiation of the third degree, we're not really going to see that. But okay, the day will come, and we're kind of like building up a network of relationships. We won't necessarily fulfill it in this life, but in incarnations to come, the amazing triangular network underlying our ability to use energies constructively will be revealed to us. So what are these three, the secrets? Secret of Aries is the secret of beginnings. Now let's see, are you seeing that? Yeah. Okay. Is the secret of beginnings, of cycles, and of emerging opportunity. The first ray always is bringing the start of the cycle. It tells us when things begin. At the third initiation, you know, toward which we can at least think, can we not, and aspire. At the third initiation, the initiate begins to understand the life of the spirit, or the highest aspect. And that's only a beginning, okay. That's because Aries has so much to do with being. And being comes in as a factor of deep consideration at the third initiation, even though there's a little bit of preparation for it before that time. Okay. Until that time, he has expressed first the life of the form and then the life of the soul within that form. The experience is of so high a nature that only those who have passed through it could in any way comprehend anything I might say. So this is one of the key factors regarding Aries in its high expression. Now, let's go on, because we're dealing with Aries-Taurus-Gemini triangle. The secret of Taurus, well, he calls them secrets because unless we have passed through these experiences, they are closed off to us. They are, as it were, a secret. The secret of Taurus is revealed at the second initiation. Second sign, second initiation. Note, by the sudden removal or disappearance of world glamour in the blinding energy of light. So if we think that world glamour or our own glamour disappear from our intuitive perspective, we have to realize that not only is Scorpio involved in lifting the Hydra, not only is Capricorn and its humility of kneeling involved in lifting the Hydra, but Taurus too, shedding the light of intuition upon the Hydra, is of great importance at that time when we can talk about the removal of glamour. This constitutes, because Taurus has a lot to do with shambolic light as well. We know that, right? The light of life. This constitutes the final radiant activity, which consummates the play of Taurian force upon humanity during the long and cyclic journey to which a man is committed. The individual enacts on a tiny scale what humanity as a whole will enact when it takes initiation in Taurus. Basically, he's telling us that Taurus is connected with the second initiation. Its ruler, Vulcan, is helping to defeat Mars, and one of its rulers, Venus, is bringing in a tremendous amount of light to counter the Martian glamour. So Taurus has to be associated with the eradication of glamour, maybe not entirely, but at the second initiation, a lot of glamour is eradicated. This is work within the astral body where most of us have a lot of work to do because it's so strong. And finally, the secret of Gemini. Sometimes when we read this, we might think it's more the secret of Virgo. The secret of Gemini has to be grasped at the first initiation because it is the mystery of the relation of the father, mother, and child. Remember, Gemini rules, shall we say, the science of relationship. The birth of the Christ child upon the physical plane is the consummating glory of the Gemini force. Now, remember, it all began with Sagittarius and animal man. Because of the influence of Gemini upon Sagittarius, was introduced into the fourth kingdom. Finally, after millions of years, the Gemini force triumphs and we become the first degree initiate. Again, this does not mean that such signs as Virgo and Leo and Capricorn and so forth are not involved in producing that first initiation. So that's still yet another way of looking at this. I'm really trying to, I've lost. Oh, here it is. Okay, maybe I can get at it this way. Uh-huh. I want to. Well, I seem to. Maybe that's just telling me that's enough. Okay. I seem to have lost Starling's. Maybe not. Um, mm, let's see if I get this. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, and so it goes. They are great transformers, and they open the doors to hierarchy and Shambhala. We can understand why. I'm not going to go and read that now. I'm not going to read the associated text right now. I'll just say that Aries has been associated with the logoic plane, which is the highest level on which Shambhala is found. Taurus has been associated with the blinding light of the monadic plane. And from a certain point of view, with Shambhala, whether Shambhala on the second level or the first level. And Capricorn, of course, opens the door through initiation to the hierarchy. We are familiar with that. We'll look at it later. And Aries, Gemini, and Scorpio, why will they be associated with the Christ child? They are, incidentally, much associated on page 2. I don't know, is it 470 something, with the initiation process. So let's see, if I go to page 473, maybe I can understand something there, and you can too. So here I'll make an attempt, and then I'll call it quits, and you can speak. 473. This is the Esoteric Astrology place where, there it is. So Aries is having to do with the reversal of the wheel. And let's see, what did we have here? Gemini is having to do with the fourth initiation. It really finds its way in many different contexts, And Scorpio has its connection with the battlefield, on which we can really participate in reversing the wheel. So Scorpio, the crisis of the battlefield, which is very much at first, there are a lot of battles, but it's at first the second initiation. So I'll show that to you. It's kind of red, but you can see Aries, Gemini, and Scorpio. They're not in order. There's quite a bit of moving things around here. But it's a very good map or tabulation for the crises of the soul. So I think we begin to see how much is contained in just these little epitomes. And tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to, no, that's not it. Yeah, I'm going to copy this and put it underneath what we have here. for that Starling has given us. All right. Now, those are all out of order. But it's not an elegant little graph or whatever you want to call it. It's not, because it's too big. But we'll deal with these later until things get easier and easier for all of us, and we can at last get something that actually looks good. Right now they don't look so good, but it's good enough for the moment. Okay. All right, friends. Now I know, and I always have to say, I know it is complex, and I know that you have to have, what can I say? You have to have a knowledge of the elements of astrology before you can begin to put them together. So maybe this will inspire us to gather those elements, namely the 7 rays, the 12 signs, and the 10 planets. You have to have those. And then you can begin your work of interpretation. So we've attempted today to cover at least a very important triangle, which operates in 2 directions at the same time. Aries, Taurus-Gemini. But as we've looked at it, we also branched out into Aries, Pisces-Aquarius, and shown how they can be used both in a ordinary manner and in a deeply subjective manner. So as I say, I'm on my own here now, and I'll just say, are there any questions that you have about this, or anything you would like to bring up, or any question about how this can be useful to you? The main usefulness is when these signs show up. The main usefulness individually is when these signs show up in your chart in a prominent way, and you can learn how to use them in the way an advanced human being would use them, or even a disciple initiate. Because if we have in mind what is the potential of any particular sign and its ruling planets, we are much more likely to direct ourselves towards proper use, rather than just drifting along and saying, well, this is what I have, and what's going to happen to me. Okay, so Vera, it looks like you can speak.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Hello, Michael. Basic question. Taurus. You today you mentioned at some point the light from the monadic plane enlightens the initiate. But Taurus is transmitting fourth ray. It's an earth sign. Can you please guide me through who says that Taurus is an earth sign, Scorpio is water sign? On what is that based?
I think, what is the basis? It has to be the kind of inner observation regarding the way these energies act upon the different internal lives and the different atomic internal substances. In other words, Taurus, through observation that we cannot make, seems to produce a kind of condensation or coagulation the way various earth signs do. Not only that, but in the Kabbalah, the whole universe is light, and so light ends up being material. So it is, it's not something that I personally can do. It's age-old Atlantean and pre-Atlantean tradition from seers who are seeing what the energies do to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Do they condense it? Do they liquefy it? Do they disperse it? Do they refine it? I'm obviously going through fire, earth, air, and water there, right? So they, with their own inner faculties, have observed what certain constellations, as they work through the signs surrounding the planetary scheme, what they do to the actual material components of each plane. And then they come up with the symbol for that kind of action of the constellation upon the matter of each plane. The whole thing is material. When we're dealing with the cosmic physical plane, we have the basic constituent, which is called the bubble in the koilon. And out of those bubbles, what I would hesitate to try to define what they are aggregated all the different types of matter. Now, the question is, when an energy comes from a constellation via the signs surrounding the planet and so forth, remember, signs are sort of Davic atmospheres that are surrounding the planet. What do those constellations do to the matter? And on that basis, the seers have determined fire, earth, air, and water. I guess that's, I don't know, I haven't maybe thought of that question, but that's what comes to me at this point.
It's fascinating. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
yes. And of course, look,
Ma-
when I would just say one thing, sorry, when the ego sounds its note before any incarnation, it notices ray deficiencies and elemental deficiencies
Oh, yeah.
and chooses accordingly the time of birth to fill in, to round things out. Now, who did I hear that was saying? Was that Tuya?
yes, you heard me.
Okay, dear, go
Hey,
ahead.
just for that a little addition that uh, actually we have only, if we are very precise, we have only two elements. We have fire and water. And I don't know why we are not saying air and water, but maybe because this solar system is not having real air. But it is fire, which is the more dense quality of air, and earth is more dense quality of water. But for us, we are in that division underwater, great water. That's why if you look the ancient illustrations, you can see that there are indicators of the water substance, because we are
Yeah,
in
water
these
is,
realms.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
right,
like you say, water is matter. Why, I mean,
right.
that is, yeah, water is matter. And look, Madame Roerich goes even farther, you know, and she says, well, really, no matter what your element may be, in terms of how it appears in your exoteric horoscope, there are fiery people and non-fiery people. So she gives kind of a fire a prominence that
for
just
us.
just the way we give the great synthetic second ray a prominence with 7 subrays, so we give fire a prominence with 4 sub-elements, or at least she does.
Right.
So
Yes.
there's a lot. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Please. No, you
I
go.
just want to finish the idea. Yeah, the fire, we say that the God is consuming fire, and we have the highest plane for us, the cosmic physical plane. The highest plane is ruled by Leo, logoic plane. So then we have like for us, the highest element is fire.
Yeah.
In the very deep essential ways. And the fire of the Lord of Agni is that under whom all transformation is gone in this whole solar system, because Agni is the means at the moment how we are evolving. And right, so this general statement, but then about this, why do we call this way all of those? But we have 12 signs, but we have 4 elements. And I think, as you were already pointing out about the word, because for us, we are then, in very high sense, we are under the third aspect, under the word, prama, the cosmic prama. All of Israel, all for us is related for the word. And when we study how the sound is formed, how the sound will come in existence and the word in existence, that's why it's under law. Everything for us is under law. And so it's the supreme God who has decided. When Vera was asking, so who was the one who was deciding all of this? So it has come under this great word. And I think all of that is based upon law, and that we can see when we study about how the word was divided, all these tiny divisions of the one word, and then 3 and 7 and 5 and 49 and so forth.
There's a book.
So right. So then when we look at that, we can see that these forms which finally come into existence, their source will be under some of those overtone quality. So that's why it is defined under which element we are. And this is the science of very great being, why that is so. But it's interesting to study the elements wise, all the forms, why they are under whatever element. And that I think there is a great teaching point and learning point to every white magician to actually know what kind of element it is behind, because that tells us then also also something about the rule and the law under how we are evolving under that element, because the means are different in every single element.
Yes, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
And when we think about the element earth, at this time, the earth is that where the initiation is really taken on our planet. That's why these 2 signs, Sagittarius and Gemini, are so important, because the earth is ruling them, even though Gemini is air sign and then Sagittarius is the fire sign.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But it's a very interesting question.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, what you said exposes the subtlety and the complexity of the issue. in a way, Master DK has given us the ABCs and only the ABCs, and yet it's complex enough for us. So I just wanted to say about Agni, and I think we know this, that one way of looking at Agni is the entire personality aspect of the solar logos. So it is, in a way, the Brahmic aspect of the solar logos. Beyond that, we have, other and higher, we have a cosmic, what do you call it, the Indra, and a cosmic, et cetera, et cetera. Gosh, yeah, it has to do with the fact that all of our use of fire right down here on the cosmic physical plane, and all of the way matter behaves and all of that is all taking place within the body of a kind of cosmic Brahma, who is a kind of a cosmic Agni, who is the personality aspect of our solar logos. So I don't know how much further we can go with Agni. I suppose a lot further. But the next step up is to consider what it means for the solar logos and the solar system. Now, that's only one thought I had out of the many thoughts that you presented. A lot of what you presented could be, of course, elaborated. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And, it really comes down to how are we going to handle energy? It comes down to that. And what energies are there and what can we do with them? It gets so practical in a certain way. In this particular little cycle, we have these energies to deal with. How do we get the best out of them? It's so easy in a way to think of the main point. Now, maybe, thank you, Vera, and thank you, Tuya. Tuya, can you help me here, as long as you're here, about other things in chat, if there's anything? Oh, I have it.
Okay, yes, I am on my mobile.
Okay, I've got it. It's okay.
Yeah,
I've
I
got it.
try to help you.
Yeah. Well, Lynn, I can read this much, and Lynn is saying Aries is my ascendant and Gemini my sun. And so Scorpio, well, you fit right in there. Scorpio, my moon. So it is very clarifying to look at how I have used these signs in both spiritual, positive, and lower level ways. The Scorpio moon is a tough one at first, and later, when you're looking at what can be revealed by the hidden planets, you have to make the decision about whether most of us are receiving either from Neptune or Uranus, on occasion Vulcan, but Vulcan is the more material approach. And, when it comes to Gemini, there is diversification and the possibility of many types of relationship. But when it comes to Aries, the will to go in a particular direction which manifests the divine plan and not to be caught in the interest of so many different relationships begins to assert itself. Now, it would be different if the signs were arranged differently. Now, Carrie has something to say here. In view of the present situation in the U.S. Senate and generally in the world, what might the significance of the current alignment of the Earth, Sun, pointers, and Polaris, which extends till mid-March? Okay, well, I didn't know about that, Carrie, so that's news to me and interesting to hear. The Earth, the Sun, the pointers, and Polaris. Well, off the top of my head, Polaris is the great star of direction, and the pointers are a higher archetype of the alignment of soul and personality. With Dubé, the fifth star, under Leo, representing, in this case, the personality, and Merak, representing the soul, can the soul and personality of this nation, struggling to retain its republic and democracy, align with the direction that Polaris is indicating? By the way, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Polaris has moved tropically into Gemini. Now, in one respect, Gemini is the personality of the United States, but in another respect, it's a major, major second ray sign, the head of the cosmic Christ, and has everything to do with bringing in a strong second ray when it's used from a higher perspective. So, in the US, what's going on? With what do we align? Do we align with the personality and the dweller and go off towards the left? Or are we going to be successful in preserving the republic against the predations of a very violent dweller? Remember, in the US chart, Mars is in Gemini also, giving a lower reading of the brotherly violence which can exist and has existed in the Civil War, and even elements of that in the Revolutionary War. So we're by no means done, and the present vote in the Senate is not probably going to go all the way in terms of standing for the highest spiritual values, but it's part of the education process, and it will have its effect on the conscience of people who are receptive, and are not like totally, bearishly violent. It will have its effect, and we may work our way into the right preservation of the republic under this alignment. Maybe you can tell me where you got this info about the alignment that's going on till March. I haven't heard about it, but it's always interesting to know new things.
It's from the the planetary network, the planetary system of Antonia Nobilio.
Oh, okay. Well, Antonella,
Antonella, yeah.
she's very good. She's very good. Yeah. So she maybe would know about these things. They have their own system that they work with, and maybe this is an actual some kind of alignment that is astronomical as well. I don't know. Be interesting to talk to Antonella about that. But yeah, she's really good astrologer. So thanks, Carrie. Appreciate that. Leslie here. Okay, so when Michael mentioned the secret of Aries is the secret of beginnings, a secret of Torquem Saradarian's Legend of Shambhala seemed relevant. We'll attempt to upload the file section. Good. I mean, Torquem was a really, really important disciple, in my view. I really only met him once in person, and he did, all the Agni Yoga things I expected he would do. And he had a lot of Scorpio energy, but behind it all, there was very educative second ray, and he is written in such a manner that many people who might not engage with the Alice Bailey books so easily can engage with his reliable, sometimes simplification and sometimes simply explanation of the Bailey books. So we can follow that out. I know, Leslie, you've been quite a student there, and so you can give us sources. We appreciate that. Okay. Okay. Now, anything further that anyone would like to say or write or bring up? You know, look, we're thrown into a great network of energies here. And DK gives an example. He says, just the way the uneducated person looks up at the stars and is totally bewildered by what's going on there and can't identify the constellations, and it just looks like a huge presentation of points of light, but they can't say anything more. So people like ourselves are thrown into this network of energies described from an esoteric point of view, about which at first we're a little bit nonplussed. What are we going to say about them except to learn the connections? And then once these connections have been verified by our own experience and by studying other people and studying other groups and studying other nations, we'll have more and more of an idea that they are true, and they will no longer just be aggregates of interesting bits of information. We will be able to tie them together. And if there's anything that I hope to accomplish in some of these programs we have, is to help us all, under the inspiration of pure reason of two types, one higher mental and one intuitive, to tie things together so that the divine pattern emerges in our consciousness. And let us remember the great second ray under which the Tibetan is writing, for the most part, is called the ray of the divine pattern. And it offers us inclusive reason, which is like a kind of a subset of pure reason. So we're connecting all the parts and the pieces. That's what we're trying to do. But first of all, you have to use the fifth ray to study the parts and pieces on their own so we know what they are. And then we can begin to note the similarities and differences and really connect them into the divine pattern which pure reason reveals. Okay, and Sri Yantra is writing, thank you for the reminder of higher and lower aspirations, easy to get caught up on the lower. Well, Sri Yantra, it all depends on how we identify. And that's why we have, every once in a while, our identify as being program. Because, he says it's possible to aspire as a high personality, but it's still personality. We are not yet really focused in a stable manner in the higher aspects of ourselves. In other words, we can't really meditate the way he would like us to meditate because we cannot sustain our point of tension within the causal body. We're still aspiring as a high personality, trying to, be something, get something in our individual nature. There's more to it. And we slowly start raising that point of tension until finally, even identification through contemplation occurs. Contemplation can be a very high thing, you know. When you look at the Southern Indian school of esotericism, the great state of samadhi, which they differentiate into different. Oh, look, a deer is just passing outside. Wow, bigger than any dog, but there's the deer. Or maybe that's a good sign. Tuya would probably be able to tell me what it is. So there is always
Michael,
yes, dear. Yes,
deer
dear.
is about deer is about friendship. In I think it is a Nordic symbolism.
Yeah, he just walked by, and I'm grateful that the dogs are not barking. Okay, all right. Well, I probably yeah. So samadhi, which is so climactic in terms of meditation, is actually a very high stage of contemplation. And we're just not there yet. But I would recommend rereading From Intellect to Intuition, in which Alice Bailey has a wonderful chapter on contemplation. Now, she may not mean the ultimate contemplation that, you know, certain great yogis have, you know, like Vivekananda or Ramakrishna, or those people who, you know, go into samadhi. But it'll be enough to show us what our objective should be. So, you know, it's a long haul, everybody, and we don't get there by giving up or by being spasmodic about it. We get there by a very steady application of pressure that raises the point of, oh, another deer. Oh my goodness.
So now it is about the sign of initiation.
Wow, this is pretty good. You know, 2 deers are
Hey,
passing. Okay.
Michael, can I ask? This cannot be answered, but and it is difficult. But still, I just put it forward about the triangle and 4. When we think about that every triangle has like these 3 aspects within it: the father aspect, the son, and the mother.
Yes.
For somehow they are functioning that way. And I have been thinking a lot about this because the second ray is love wisdom, so it's dual ray. And when I'm thinking about the lowest dense, they are 3, and then we have the highest planes are etheric planes, which are 4. So on the way back, when we need to go through the etheric planes of all planes, and it becomes then much subtler. So would it be in one point that now when we have these 3, will become 4? Because I'm thinking about this angelic evolution, that when we move towards the kingdom of the souls, and which is strongly related to the angels, and would it be so that then what is now 4, or what is now 3, because somehow this 3 is also related to the manifestation, how the means and purpose of this solar system is to manifest the divine. So but when we evolve, and when we have left behind the earthly carrier, so would it be then 4 which comes then into the purpose or aspect of manifestation that it would be for.
It's quite a question. You know, 3 is a number of manifestation in connection with the third ray, and 4 is also, like the square, a number of manifestation. And when you look at the structure of the planes, you get an alternation. Sometimes 3 is above, but very often we move from a lower 3, which are more material, into a higher 4, which are more Davic angelic. So in a way, the structure of the planes, the higher 4 subplanes, are a destiny of evolution from the 3 to the 4. So I think it does work out. It does work out on the cosmic physical plane in that way, in the way that you are suggesting. But from another point of view, 4 is the square and is manifestation, and triangle is the 3. See, when you look at the when you look at the Masonic apron, it kind of spells out, you know, the Masons wear those in parades and all that, whether they should or not. It looks like the letter M, and basically it's a square, but the flap of the triangle is down into the square. And so in that particular case, the 3 is above and the 4 is the receptive square. You know, you can turn things this way and that way, and they all make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking then the Buddhic plane, the 4th plane, that would it be there? This because it's said that on the Buddhic plane, the angel and the man is merging. No, harmonizing.
Harmonizing,
yeah.
Correct. Yeah, harmonizing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that when one thinks about that way, it looks like the first 3, then it would be 4, and then 3 again. It's like that. And when we look the 4th ray, on the 4th ray are all the rest 5, 6, and 7. So that the 4th seems to be some kind of mystery area.
Yes,
like this bottleneck, or how do you call it? No, the time class, or what
hourglass.
Hourglass. It's like the hourglass is the 4th. And then the same things are reflecting each other. 3 below and 3 above. But I'm wondering a lot about this, that why we call the second ray always love wisdom, because it's dual ray, and angelic kingdom, Deva kingdom is like the wisdom part, and human kingdom is about the love part.
Yes, that actually probably does work out. I've lost the reference, but basically it's a little graph that goes 1, 2, 2, 3, and humanity is the 1, 2, and the devas are the 2, 3, and they both meet right there, showing that dual ray of love wisdom. Well, we've gotten into some stuff today. So I'll tell you what, friends. Let's see now. Tonight we have triangles, right, Tuya?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we have triangles, and I just want to say, keep our group formation open to the great second ray, so that it can sweep through the deliberations that are going on in the Senate right now. And so at least, even if there is not conviction, there will be significant education, which will move us away from the possibility of losing the republic. You know, I mean, Benjamin Franklin, a disciple of Master R, in my opinion, I do believe so, was asked Dr. Franklin, what is the best form of government? And he answered, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. And right now, there is a question about whether a true republic, based on the principles of democracy, but somewhat modified, can be retained, can be kept, and whether Master R's experiment in the United States, and I guess also in Europe, can be sustained. It is a battle. So let's work esoterically to align with the hierarchical democratic second ray principles. Okay, friends, let's close with the great invocation. And I don't even know. Yeah, okay. Okay, we're going to close with the great invocation. And I think we've covered, yeah, and Antonella's group, theplanetarySystem.com. You can get there. So Carrie is offering us that in the chat. And Zoom is wonderful, but there are certain manipulations you have to go through that make things a little complicated. So I assume we know the great invocation, but I sometimes forget, and I try to make sure I don't. So, and maybe the same for you too. Okay, I'll make it bigger, see? Okay, great invocation. And there it is. And I hope I can find it when I go back to the sharing. New share, great invocation, there it is. So you have to go through some of this. There it is. Okay. So, from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Okay, and if you want to turn on your video, you're welcome to do that. Just waving to you, and thank you for assembling. You know, we try to make it so that people aren't always in the middle of the night in order to join these programs, which is the case right now in the United States, but not elsewhere. Hey, Carrie. Okay, nice to see you. Nice to see you. And nice to see you all here. Appreciate that very much. We can do some work together, you know, and that's what we're trying to do, to keep the esoteric balance if we possibly can. So lots of love, many blessings to everybody, and our triangles work in the more standard sense, as DK gave it, is tonight at 6 p.m. GMT. And this will be put up on Makara shortly. And I think also something like this one goes up on YouTube as well. We don't have the really, really strong political ones up on YouTube. You know, it's just inviting trouble. But anyway, great to see you. And bye for now.